I'm here today at Subsea 2020 with Nigel Holmes from the Hydrogen Fuel Cell Association. I believe you had a very interesting plenary session today. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the link between hydrogen and subsea and what you were talking about this afternoon?
Of course. So the session this morning was about new perspectives and in particular how the growth of renewable energy will start to be involving the subsea sector. So good example here is with hydrogen. Hydrogen is a way of transmitting energy as a low carbon energy source.
So with that in mind, what would you say the key benefits for the subsea industry are at this time?
So the subsea sector in Scotland has got a fantastic set of companies with expertise. It's also got infrastructure throughout the whole of the North Sea. So you've got pipes on the seabed, and some of these pipes actually start from just north of Aberdeen, St Fergus, and go all the way out to the oil fields, which will be the same locations that you'll be starting to use for offshore wind farms.
So great cross-sector expertise there and providing lots of benefits to show wider industry integration as we go forward?
Absolutely. So the opportunity with offshore wind is you need to bring the energy back to the beach, and traditionally it would be electricity, but increasingly companies are starting to look at using hydrogen. So produce the hydrogen offshore and then bring that hydrogen back to the beach down the pipes. And these pipes could indeed be some of the same pipes as we currently use for oil and gas.
That's fascinating. So utilising the assets in a different way to make a greener fuel source, would that be correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when people talk about hydrogen, they sometimes talk about green hydrogen and blue hydrogen. So green hydrogen is hydrogen made from renewable electricity. So you electrolyse water to make the hydrogen. Blue hydrogen is made from natural gas, reforming of natural gas, and then you capture the CO2 so that it's got a low carbon footprint.
So there would be real benefit to subsea operators in considering this as an alternative fuel source for the future?
Absolutely. So it's a way of actually increasing the use of the assets, so repurposing some of the existing assets. And that's important for two reasons. It can help to defray some of the timescales for decommissioning of the assets, but more importantly, it starts to use them again for another purpose. And if you do that, it's actually a much, much more cost-effective way of moving energy from offshore wind back to the beach. So some recent work in the Netherlands, if you took the cost of putting it down a wire as being one unit, £1 million, for example, per mile or kilometre. If you did it with a pipe, it could be a tenth of the cost. If you did it with a pipe that's already there, it could be 50 times less. So absolutely a big commercial advantage. It would actually open up areas that otherwise could be very, very challenging commercially.
That's truly fascinating. Do you think that the adoption levels are reflecting that benefit, or is the industry taking a little while to catch on?
So this is the big question. When will it happen? So Aberdeen, we've got a great example of where Aberdeen is producing hydrogen from electricity. They use that hydrogen to fuel buses. So they've got a fleet of buses running in Aberdeen, other vehicles as well. But that's relatively small. And what we need to do now is to go to the next level, which is where we're producing hydrogen at a much larger volume. But for that to work, we need also to have the demand. So no point in making it if you can't actually use it. So this is the classic chicken and egg situation. We need the supply at a cost-effective price. We also need the demand to be scaling up to meet that supply.
So in order for people to maybe make that choice a little easier for them, what would you recommend the next step should be?
So transport is one of the big markets, opportunity markets, but that will take a while to build up. The big opportunity is seen in decarbonising heat. So trying to move people from using natural gas for household heating to hydrogen. And there are actually projects starting to be scoped out in Scotland. Aberdeen is one, Methyl in Fife is another. One of these projects going ahead could create a large demand for hydrogen, which in turn starts to stimulate that supply. So large-scale projects involving heat could be one of the ways that this all starts to move forward.
So would you say that the utilities companies are adopting this technology a lot quicker than maybe the source suppliers and, say, subsea and production companies?
The utilities absolutely have an interest in this. So the gas companies, gas distribution companies, see hydrogen as being one of the ways that they can continue to operate, but provide a zero carbon fuel for future heating. The challenge is commercial. So making the hydrogen is still quite expensive. If we're going to compete on any level with existing fuels like natural gas, we have to scale up and bring the cost down. So this is the challenge. Hydrogen will work very well at large scale. We aren't yet at that scale, so we need to find ways of making that transition. And this is where support from governments will be key. So some of the early support for demonstrators. And just last week, the Scottish Government announced in its latest budget that it's putting £10 million into demonstrators for hydrogen for heat in Scotland. So things are going in the right direction. We just need to see what happens next.
That's very encouraging and great to hear such a great opportunity being explored. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to your interview today?
I think the other one that I would add is there's clearly opportunities within Scotland, but also when you look at Scotland and the North Sea, there are other countries around the North Sea who are already starting to say we want to use hydrogen to decarbonise heat and industry. Netherlands is one, Germany is another. So the opportunity is decarbonising Scotland is absolutely one of the top policy priorities, but there is an opportunity for us to start to supply low carbon clean energy, green hydrogen into countries like the Netherlands and Germany as well.
That's incredible. So it's actually creating an export opportunity for the country as well.
Well, creating an export. So, the North Sea, we've been producing and exporting oil. Brent crude is a benchmark for oil. And going forward, so recently, Platts have announced that they're tracking the price of hydrogen on a global market with Rotterdam as one of the trading hubs. Can we actually start to get to a point where Scottish hydrogen is traded on that market as a green commodity going forward? So, absolutely, there's a lot happening, and it's a fantastic opportunity for Scotland.
It sounds like the possibilities are indeed endless there. So thank you very much for your time. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay, in that case, thank you very much for your time today. It's been fascinating to speak with you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you very much.